There was one moment, though, that was really disturbing, which is some woman stands up and says that her little children are transgender and wants to know Joe Biden's thoughts on transing little kids. And he gave the wrong answer.
I'm the proud mom of 2 girls, 8 and 10. My youngest daughter is transgender.
She isn't. She isn't. She isn't a she. I mean, if this woman is saying that her youngest daughter is transgender, what she's saying is she has a little 8-year-old boy, and she's pretending that that little 8-year-old boy is a girl. But the little boy isn't a girl. The little boy is a boy, barely capable of reason at age 8, well below the age of consent, 10 years below the age of consent. And this woman is an abusive mother who's damaging her little son. And I don't know why she's doing that, but it is truly, truly awful. And if there is ever a role for the state to get involved, it's when parents are abusing their little boys and trying to pretend that they're little girls for whatever psychotic reason has motivated them to do that in their own adult heads. Obviously not very well-formed adult heads. This is some sick stuff. Now, probably, by the way, the state would come in with Child Protective Services and take your kids away from you if you don't trans the kids, if you don't let your little boy who says he's a girl dress up like a little girl. But of course, in a just society, the opposite would be true. So she poses this question. She goes, I want to dress my little boy up as a girl and have him pretend to be a little girl. What are you going to do about that when people say that that's not such a nice thing? Joe Biden says, I'm sorry you're going through that. Absolutely, we should trans the kids.
How will you, as president, reverse this dangerous and discriminatory agenda and ensure that the lives and rights of LGBTQ people are protected under U.S. law?
I will flat out just change the law. Eliminate those executive orders, number one. There should be zero discrimination. And what's happening is too many transgender women of color are being murdered. They're being murdered. There is no reason to suggest that there should be any right denied your daughter or daughters, whichever, if one or two, your daughter, that your other daughter has a right to be and do. None, zero.
So you can tell Joe Biden doesn't know anything about this issue, so he just goes back to the one talking point that some staffer told him, which is transgender women of color are being murdered. Now, I know when you say that, it sounds like there's some epidemic of this in the country, but it's not the case. It's something like 20 per year, 20 black men who identify as women. And usually when you look into the individual cases, it's because they're involved in prostitution or something like that and are killed by black men who are either didn't know that they were transgender. Who knows? I mean, these are very, very sad cases, but they're very particular cases. All right, this is not like this is happening to millions of people per year or anything like that. But obviously, it doesn't affect this woman. She is very much a white woman, and her daughters, or her son and her daughter, are not adults. This is not about whether adults can choose to dress a certain way or identify a certain way. This is about whether 8-year-old children can be made to look more like the opposite sex, whether you can block their puberty, whether you can shoot them full of hormones, whether you can castrate them, whether you can cross-dress them. This is some sick, perverted stuff, and any reasonable society would stand up and say, listen, lady, I don't know what you're doing to your kid, but stop dressing your little boy up like a little girl. When he gets older, if he's 25 years old and he decides he wants to put on a dress at night, that's his own business. But you sure shouldn't be doing that. Can you imagine how confusing that is to a little boy? When I was 8 years old, I wore a little Batman cape around birthday parties and told people to call me Batman. I'm very pleased my mother did not indulge the fantasy that I wish she had indulged the fantasy that I was a billionaire. That would have been great. That would actually, okay, maybe I'm undercutting my own argument. But certainly if I thought I was a different sex, that can be extraordinarily damaging. I hope you enjoyed that short segment from the Michael Knowles Show. Be sure to check out the full episode linked in the description or download the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts.